Hey everyone, okay, this video is kind of out of the normal of what I do. It is another Poppy Playtime reaction video, but this time we're actually reacting to Tericho's new video with CCTV update. I'm not really sure what else is in this. I don't know where a lot of the theorists find a lot of their information and stuff, because there are things that I've been seeing popping around everywhere that I'm like, where do you find this? I follow Mob Games on Twitter, I'm in their Discord, but I just don't seem to get this information. I do need to go back on Project Playtime and look at a lot of the ARG stuff, but I really wanted to get my thoughts and stuff out on this video. Tericho is probably the person to go to for Poppy Playtime updates. Look, I'm all about the game theorist, he's amazing, and I go to him for all FNAF stuff, but Tericho is the Poppy Playtime theorist, in my opinion. Other people may have different opinions, but either way, I really wanted to get a reaction to his video. I will have the link to this video and his channel in the description below, and I will have details about it, but I'm going to post this basically as soon as it's done recording. But please go and check out his channel. I'm not trying to steal his content. If he doesn't like that I've done this and recorded his video to react to it, I will happily remove it, and I am sorry if that is not okay. I have messaged him previously about the first Poppy Playtime theory that I did, asking if I can use some of his clips from his video, and he said it is okay to do reaction videos, but just in case things have changed from back then, I apologize, and if he lets me know, I will take this video down immediately. But please go and check out his video on this. I have not seen it yet, but I know it's going to be amazing. He always does such an amazing job with these. But I'm going to stop rambling for now. I will be playing and pausing his video while I come up with my own ideas and reactions to things. But let's see what the Poppy Playtime theorist has to say about this.
So today I was supposed to be working on my CraftyCon theory, but Mob decided instead of that they were going to release a massive new ARG update for Chapter 3, and of course, well, I had to start
I think they're through
If
Project
you
Playtime.
haven't seen today's news, we finally got Catnap's description.
Ooh.
We've been waiting for this one since every day this week Mob have been releasing a new smiling critter, and today, as most people expected, would be Catnap's. But once we got Catnap's description...
Hang on, let's just look at this real quick. So, Catnap is a calming presence for the critters and ensures he and his friends always have the right amount of sleep to jumpstart the morning's play. End of the day, there's nothing Catnap enjoys more than watching his friends sleep soundly. See, I wouldn't be cool if my friends watched me sleep, but okay. And his scent is lavender, which, honestly, makes sense. Like, I know that he has the red gas, which we assume is poppy gas, and poppy does put people to sleep. But lavender is also used to help calm people to sleep. I know that I have a lot of nightmares, and I actually have insomnia. But sometimes I will put some lavender drops on a tissue and put it in my pillow, and the smell actually does help people calm down enough to be able to help them sleep. So that kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, I think as a parent, I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent, if I saw that something smelt like poppy flowers, like opium, I'd be a bit like, I don't really want my kids sniffing that. But lavender's something that I'd be like, kids, sniff this. I would not smother my children.
Something just a little bit off with this one. First of all, his scent, lavender, was just a little bit out of line. It wasn't quite aligned properly. Now this might have been nothing.
Oh, okay, no, it's dropped. It's dropped, yeah.
Left, there were these series of dots. Using some decoding magic, they realized that these dots spelt the word omen. Putting that together with the word lavender being slightly out of line,
it's a tap. Oh, okay.
the talented people in Discord very quickly came up with a new password.
I thought it would be Morse code.
Omen. Now, of course, today there was a brand new folder, and once this one was opened with the new password, we found
I seriously need to get back on Project Playtime and look at all this stuff.
all of these new files. These ones were very interesting. They bring a whole new character, Gerard Lockhart, an investigator. We'll talk more about him later.
Okay,
There's a lot of
hopefully I'll get a
here about
better
Theodore
picture of
and
that.
Catnap too. We'll talk about all this at the end of the video though, because before that, I want...
Whatever your influencer is, it wanted a way out. What's strange, it got just that, but didn't take it. Instead, he chose to carry the boy to staff to save him, to blow its cover. Had it not intervened, though, the boy likely wouldn't have made it. Whoever this was, perhaps it cared in its way. Doesn't excuse what happened, obviously, but still, be grateful that it means Theodore is alive to tell. So whoever saved Theodore, which if you don't know who Theodore is, go and check out Tericho's other videos. He was a kid that got like electrocuted or something. But one of the toys obviously took Theodore to a staff member. But okay.
Let's talk about the brand new CCTV images. You see.
Okay, this looks like cells, but like padded cells or padded rooms, but it looks like concrete in there. Okay, apart from the fact that there are claw marks everywhere, obviously catnap's been around here. Are these the rooms that like Bron and Bunzo fell in, do you think? Bron, I think, would definitely be in one of these rooms. But I'm sorry, these are cells. These are prison cells. The big locks, the bars, these are prison cells.
Not only was this new folder discovered, but we also discovered that the CCTV has been updated, and we've now got 3 brand new
bedrooms
to look at. This is all very similar to what happens between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and I'm going to talk about how that might be a little bit more relevant later as well. So if we look through these new CCTV images, there are 3 of them, and this one is probably the most interesting. Here you can see what looks like another bedroom, but in the top left corner you can see what is pretty clearly Catnap.
And he's breathing.
You see his eyes, which look very similar to the eyes we see at the end of the Chapter 3 trailer, but if you look more closely, you can also see what looks like his moon pendant here as well. Why Catnap is staring into the camera like this, I'm not entirely sure.
His eyes terrify me.
Now, if you look around the room, there isn't a ton of things to find just yet. You can see this image, which looks like another one of the creepy children. We've seen plenty of these now in the trailers and teasers for Chapter.
Also, if you didn't know, there's been a lot of speculation. I'm not sure if it was confirmed or not, but apparently a lot of people think Catnap can actually change from being really big or really small. So in the CCTV, he seems to be like really big unless he's on top of one of the beds. But apparently he can change sizes. I don't know if that's a legit thing. I don't know if that's just a hallucination the kids have. But there's a lot of speculation going on about that right now.
Chapter 3. Over here you can see another hole, which I actually think this is a huge hint, by the way. I think this is a hint that Catnap, or one of the toys anyway, is going to pop up out of the holes in the ground, and we're going to have to be very careful.
Nope.
Kind of like how the alien pops out of vents in the ceiling in Alien Isolation. I think it's going to be something similar to that. But these holes are absolutely everywhere in the teasers, and we can always see these cat claw scratch marks. So I definitely think these are going to be little hidey holes that
out of them
will pop out of. So maybe we have to watch out for that. Now, I have looked around the doorway. I've looked in pretty much every corner of this image to see if anything else is moving or if there's anything else to see, and, well, I can't really see anything. There are some sparks over on the right here, but to be honest, that could just be anything. The factory is in a massive state of disrepair. We know that there's no one going around doing maintenance or anything like that, so realistically, this could just be a light switch. It could be anything. But yeah, Catnap is very interesting, but he's just kind of sat there doing nothing.
Can he?
But I hate that potentially these scenes could change. Now, if you remember,
I think so.
Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, we did get these, again, 3 CCTV scenes, and in each of these 3 scenes, at first they didn't really show anything. They were just kind of empty scenes. But over time, they changed and eventually told a story, which led up to the big reveal of Mommy Longlegs. In fact, we actually saw Mommy Longlegs' arm before we ever knew who she was. I actually thought this was a grab pack to begin with. So there's a good chance that Mob could do the same thing here, and knowing that the CCTV was changed right before the release of Chapter 2, I'm wondering if this means once again we are just very, very close to Chapter 3.
I hope
so. Now the
so.
second scene is also very creepy. We've seen this corridor before. We've seen this one with the Heretics poster. Now, I've already talked before about the idea that this is really weird, that these look like prison cells. You can see that there are beds in here and these doors with bars on them. It seems very weird that they would have essentially a prison in an area that's designed to be an orphanage. But then again, knowing what happens down here, knowing all the experiments, and knowing just how evil Playtime Co. is a company, there could be a number of reasons why they have these cells.
Imagine if this was like Playtime Co.'s twisted version of like Time Out. Like I'm assuming that these are going to be for the toys, or maybe once they're like once the kids are first transformed into the toys, they're put in these cells to monitor them, to make sure they don't lash out, to basically train them. But imagine if like the kids were taken here before they were actually experimented on, and it was some sick timeout corner, or like the staff would take the kids and see the toys that were in here that were kept locked in here. And imagine if the staff took them here and was like, if you misbehave, this is what will happen to you. Like, how terrifying that would be for a child. How terrifying that would be for an adult. I'm 22, and if I saw that, I'd be like, nah, mate, just kill me.
Are these cells for the experiments, or are these cells for orphans who misbehave, or maybe even both? Honestly, who knows at this point, but I still think it's kind of creepy that we have these cells down here. What makes this one particularly interesting is that this one is much longer than the others. These are actually video files and you can watch them. And if you watch this one, it's way bigger than the other ones. It's way longer. Now, if you actually stick around and watch this one all the way through, you will eventually see a small version of Bobby Bear Hug crawling through this corridor. Now, this is already pretty interesting and creepy. This is a confirmation that we are going to see at least some of the smiling critters in their small form. Now, we don't know if this Bobby can grow like the catnap is hinted to be able to do.
Yeah, okay. See, there's a lot of hints that they can grow their size. See, I look at that and I'm like, it's a cute little teddy bear. I'd want to pick him up, but then I'd see like the smiling face. For those of you that don't know, I hate things like that. Like, I have said that I will play chapter 3 without watching anybody else play it, so I don't know where jump scares are. I don't know what I'm meant to do, so it will be really scary. But the second I saw the smiling faces of these things, I said, can I retract my statement, because I don't want to do this anymore. It is terrifying. I hate smiling things like that. Bobby Bear Hug looked really cute, and I do want to like just pick him up and like smell him or her. I can't remember if it's a boy or a girl. I think it's a girl, maybe. I don't remember. But if I see these things crawling towards me, I'm just going to boot them in the head. I'm going to reprogram the game. I don't know how to program, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to reprogram the game, and I'm going to be able to kick these things in the head and send them flying, because nope, no thank you.
This is pretty concrete proof that we are going to encounter some of the smiling critters in a small form, which could be a further hint that we'll see smaller Huggies come to life too. But even if not, I do think we are potentially going to see the entire cast of the smiling critters in chapter.
Tericho really wants to see his cursed Huggy come to life. He's like, I agree with him, it's a really nice theory, but he is hanging on to that so hard, and he's like, I want my cursed Huggy. We had the mini Huggies, but I want my cursed Huggy.
3, and I really do hope they all have their different little personalities, but even if they don't, it does seem like there are going to be so many dangers and threats in chapter 3.
They're kind of cute.
Kept on our toes the entire time. Not only do we have to look out for the giant catnap who can put us to sleep jumping out of the floor, but we also have to watch for the small ones too. These ones could hide anywhere. They could be hidden around corners, under little piles of toys. They could pop out of toy boxes. Realistically, this could be a huge new gameplay mechanic for chapter 3, and I'm really excited. Now, just before we move on to the next scene, one final thing I want to say about this one is, as I said earlier, these rooms look like cages or prison cells, and I do find it very interesting that this third one is left open, kind of hinting possibly that something that was kept here or somebody has escaped. And yeah, maybe we'll find out who that is in chapter 3. But the third one is probably the least interesting of them all, or is it? Now, this is not the first time we've seen this scene. The scene with these machines that look like they're going to be some sort of platforming part of the game. This is the second time we've seen this, and really I've looked through every part of this image to see if I can find anything interesting, and I can't. And that in itself, I think, is interesting. Now, let me go over some of the things that I potentially found before I talk about why that is really, really important in my opinion. Now, first of all, I found this over on the wall, which I thought could potentially be Huggy's arm, but it's not. It's just a pipe. If you look at the still image that we got, you can see very clearly that it's this pipe here. Second of all, if you look at these machines when they lower, it does kind of look like something is in this one. It looks like this one is hollow and there is something in there, but it doesn't really show anything that it could be. It looks like a small toy maybe, but I don't really know what that is supposed to be showing. If it is showing anything, it could even just be a reflection. I honestly don't know. Which again makes me wonder, why have we been given this scene now? Twice, and in both of those times I could not find anything significant or anything interesting.
Maybe at the moment we've just got this video, but as he said earlier, these CCTV footages seem to update, so maybe we'll just have to keep an eye on this one, and maybe something will change. Maybe they'll stop moving. Maybe something will appear out of there, climb out of there. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
And I think, and this is just a theory, but I think that this area or this scene is actually going to be an important one. I think this is Mob subtly hinting that something here is going to happen in the actual game. It's going to be something important. Perhaps we're going to meet a character here like we met Mommy in chapter 2, or perhaps there's going to be some sort of story detail here that we definitely shouldn't miss. And Mob definitely know that there is something important about this corridor. Maybe it's just the parkour mechanics that they're trying to show off and they're very proud of it, or maybe it's because they know that we're going to have a surprise here, something that we're going to remember, and they're trying to tease us with that, but they don't want to spoil it because it's going to be very, very interesting. Again, it's just a theory, but it does seem really weird that they keep showing off this corridor with realistically nothing in it. But as I said, there isn't all that much to see in these 3 CCTV.
Why does he keep
just
showing
yet.
that? It's terrifying.
Yes, the catnap is pretty cool, but that's really obvious. It's really in your face. And in the last CCTV ARG that we got, there were things to find. Well, I guess there were updates to those images that we could find, so we kept having to go back and checking. And I really do hope that they do the same thing with this one, so that we can find some more interesting things right before the release of Chapter 3. But also, alongside these CCTV images, we also got a brand new folder. Now, I haven't covered the entirety of the ARG on this channel, just because there's just so much of it. But I do want to cover this update because I do find there's some really interesting things in here. Now, first of all, we get this little message here that talks about the catnap dolls. Now,
hang on. Okay, we're going through the dolls now. They definitely don't smell like lavender, and the stuff coming out isn't the usual clear mist, but a smoky red. I have no idea what this is, but we'll want to run this up the line because it's almost definitely what's been causing parents to complain to our customer service team. Okay, so they're meant to smell like lavender, but they don't. Maybe, like, from the sounds of it, if they do normally see a mist, I wonder if the smiling critters are meant to be like, you squeeze them and it like blows the stuff in your face. I fear that for small children. I don't know if you've ever gotten like room spray or something in your eyes, but it hurts. Don't do it. But apparently catnap had gone out and parents were complaining. I wonder why.
They don't smell like lavender, and the stuff coming out isn't the usual clear mist, but a smoky red. Now, in this small message, there is a bunch that you can unpack. First of all, this implies that this particular staff member had no idea about the red mist being used in the playcare area, and we already know that plenty of the staff were kept in the dark. We know, for example, that many of the staff didn't know about the Bigger Bodies Initiative, for an example. It was very much a need-to-know basis. But it's also really interesting that these dolls were eventually infused with the red gas. Now, was this just an accident, or was there something more to it? Did the dolls, for example, did they do this? Did catnap do it? Did one of the children do it? Did 1006 do it? Or was it another staff member trying to get the news out? You know, we already talked about the idea that some of the staff were trying to expose Playtime Co. We know Rowan Stoll was going to do that before he died. So there's a good chance that other staff members were trying to do the same thing as well. And
hang on. I want to see something. See, March 21st, 1991, March 30, 1991. This is like 9 days after. What if, I can't remember who Marcus, who Jacksepticeye plays, who he sees. I can't remember if it was Huggy or Mummy, but what if he saw Boxy Boo? I don't know. I might have to go back and see what Marcus had said, and then what Rowan Stoll had said. If I can, like, I can always go back through theory videos and stuff to hear what he said. But this video from Rowan and the video from Marcus are literally 9 days apart in this universe.
So there's a good chance that other staff members were trying to do the same thing as well, and this could be a way to do it, but it seems like a really nasty way to do it, to put it into children's toys. And we can see here that parents were complaining to their customer service team when they bought these catnap dolls that it was doing some weird stuff to their children, which again, we know Playtime Co. are happy to do for their orphans, but I don't think they would want to do that for their customers. It seems like it would be a really bad idea to bring light to their misdeeds, so to speak. So that's also really interesting, but the idea that it got all the way up to the factory floor without anybody realizing, and with those staff having no idea what's going on, just seems typical for Playtime Co.
I wonder if, like, let's say they had, like, the Bigger Bodies catnap, if that's what he is. He'd already been made, so he already had the poppy mist. What if catnap's the one that did it, potentially under 1006's order? Or what if catnap has this agenda to, like, put everyone in the world asleep? I'm not sure if that's where they're going to go with it. I don't see why it would become a, you know, the toys want to take over the world sort of thing. But if catnap sees sleep or something like that, like the Hour of Joy, What if he wanted to put everybody to sleep?
At this point. Now in the files in the ARG, we get introduced to a brand new character, Gerard Lockhart, and he's described as being an investigator.
That's the one I read
Seems a
before.
little bit weird. Why would Playtime Co. have an investigator? If that was somebody from outside the company, that would be the last thing that they would want. They wouldn't want
Okay, that's not what I meant to
anybody
pause on, but
around their secret
hi, Huggy.
research. Except he doesn't exactly seem bothered by it. In fact, it seems like he's
Ooh.
aware of all this research. And honestly,
To be fair, yeah, right. You wouldn't want a private investigator investigating this stuff, and if he got that close to know that, like, a toy that didn't want to be found actually took Theodore to staff, I assume they would want that investigator taken care of, if you know what I mean. So, service access. The path leads out of Playcare via a service access tunnel, kept as an emergency exit route following construction. Tracks in the ground, traces of tar, stops just past the opening of the tunnel. Whatever was with Theodore, it managed to get access, but didn't use the exit route. These tracks are not that of a man, but something else. I scoffed at the witness who said the thing was beastly, just another lapse in recall. Maybe that is catnap. Do cats... I don't know if cats really dig. Like, I have cats, they, like, dig in the litter tray when they've gone to the bathroom. But they don't really dig in sand or things. But I also understand that this isn't necessarily a cat. Update 2, grab pack number 2, discarded, tossed to go back for the boy. Perhaps some secondary security measure kicked in and scared the thing. Nope, nada, no alarms, no cameras, no security alerts, nothing. If the intention is a clean getaway, you can't get better than that. Why go back? A rock and a hard place, Mr. Mystery Influencer. I'm going to assume that the Mystery Influencer, or 1006, is the one that took Theodore to staff, but I wonder if, like, he took Theodore and left him somewhere where the staff would find him quite quickly. Because I don't think, if it is 1006, he wouldn't want to expose himself that quickly, not risking being captured again and things like that after everything he's done to try to get away.
It doesn't faze him. So either this was somebody hired from within the company, somebody who already knows about it,
potentially,
or this could even be a more sinister explanation and could say the Playtime Co. had influence in other departments outside of the company.
That would be
For
terrifying.
example, the local police department. This could even explain why...
Hang on, is that the one from Resident Evil? Because I recognize it from Dead by Daylight. I think that's from Resident Evil.
...touched for 10 years after it closed, but that's a theory for another day. Either way, Gerard was investigating what he calls an influencer, somebody who was influencing Theodore, somebody who was telling him to do things. Now, I do find it interesting that Playtime Co. hired this investigator or used this investigator for this purpose.
Here's a quick theory. Like, a lot of, well, at least Tericho, I believe it was him, said that he thinks Theodore may have became catnap. One thing that kind of suggests this for me, like, it kind of shows, or at least in my opinion, and Tericho's, again, I think from one of his videos, 1006 was influencing Theodore. Like, his hand here, that looks very much like our friend. But Theodore coloured himself in purple. Catnap is purple. I want to say, like, you know, kids colour in all different colours, but at the end of the day, if we remember the fact that a kid did not draw this, like Mob Games designed this, that to me is a pretty big hint that Catnap is Theodore. It's, you know, yes, he's purple. A lot of people are drawn in different colours. Kids draw in all sorts of different colours. But this is designed by someone who knows what's going on. Someone programmed this in the game. Theodore is purple. Catnap is purple. That's a pretty big sign, in my opinion, anyway.
But it also makes a lot of sense if you think about it. We already know that there were moles within the company. Rowan Stoll is a good example of that. There were people that wanted to leak this research. There were people who wanted to shut the whole thing down. And I'm sure that Playtime Co. would
Hi,
hire
Boxy
people
Boo.
like this to find them and root them out and probably feed them to Boxy Boo. Or, as we've already theorized, put them into other toys as well. Either way, get rid of them. But if you read through these as well as the other ones that we got previously, you can kind of see a story that happened here. 1006 was asking Theodore to find files and also steal a grab pack. Now, in my CraftyCon video that I haven't released yet, I actually talk about this whole idea.
How does 10... Okay, this is, I think, Tericho's script. So I'm just going to read this real quick. But there is one character we haven't discussed in this theory yet. How does 1006 fit in with all this? Well, we know now that 1006 was using the children in the playcare to help him. He convinced Theodore to steal a grab pack and to search for certain files in the playcare area. Theodore insisted that his friend told him to do it, something that staff put down to an imaginary friend. But this image shows us that was clearly 1006. It seems like 1006 is really on the side of the toys and by extension the orphans. He was described as being exceptionally violent, yet doesn't harm the orphans when he had the chance to. He also only takes Mummy after she dies. It seems like 1006 hates the playcare staff, which would not be surprising knowing how corrupt they had become and how they treat the orphans and their staff. Look, I agree with him completely. 1006 doesn't seem to have any ill will towards the kids. I don't see why he would. Even if we go with the theory that he was an adult, let's say we go with the theory that 1006 is actually Edward Ludwig? I believe it's Edward. I don't know why I'm thinking Edward. I think it's Edward Ludwig. I think so. I don't know. My brain's a bit fried today, guys. I apologize. But let's say it is Ludwig. He had no reason. All he ever wanted to do was to bring joy to kids, the hour of joy. He never wanted to do them harm. He only ever wanted to do good by them. If he was forced into this situation of becoming 1006 by the Doctor or Laith Pierre, it seems pretty reasonable that he would team up with the toys, who are orphans and other staff that have been done wrong, try to protect the kids. If he exposed himself to get Theodore to a safe place, like the investigator suggested, he will not put a child's life above his, below his own. He will not put himself above a child's life. He will protect them the best that he can, and if something happens to them, he will do what's best to protect them. I also, looking back on the Bron videotape where we see that Thomas, I believe his name was put into Bron. Imagine if all the other toys, they were these tortured kids that were forced into this situation against their will, and then this adult comes in who chooses to have this happen to him and then tries to become accepted in the group. I did have a theory that I don't think I put up because things have been so crazy, that we saw through Thomas's eyes in the Bron video, almost as if he had cameras implanted somewhere on his face. What if the other toys knew this and Bron or Thomas was sent in as a Bron toy to try to see what the toys get up to when the staff isn't around, and the toys knew this? They for some reason could sense that he wasn't a kid like them, he wasn't tortured and forced into this like they were, which is why they attacked him. They knew he was a spy of some kind and were like, we don't want you to go and report back to the staff that we're trying to get out of here. That just makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, the idea that 1006 needs help getting around this factory, and it makes total sense. This whole factory is a labyrinth. It's really hard to get around and you need multiple grab packs to do it. This actually is all by design. It makes sense. It's like a keycard system, except instead of keycards, it's grab pack hands. All this really does is make sure that no one singular person can get to every area of the factory. You're only allowed to go to your designated areas, and this allows Playtime Co. to have complete control over where each employee goes. For example, if you're somebody who needs to go into the red hand area, you can, but you can't go into the green hand area. If you want to go there, you have to go with somebody qualified. It makes total sense to me, but this would make it very difficult for things like 1006 to get around the factory without help.
That is true. The preamble. Reports and first-hand accounts state that Theodore Gramble is odd, antisocial tendencies with other children, juvenile behaviours, peculiar relationship with imaginary figure. Fair. Equipment missing reported by Mark Smith, maintenance technician. 2 grab packs, 2 green hand attachments. Why 2 green hand attachments? Thomas guided CPR on the kid until paramedics arrived, involved, not, talked with him, stupid guy, stupid question, fair. Little to go on, a lot to learn. he was, oh, I wonder, yeah, okay, here you go. Maybe Theodore was left, or maybe the grab pack. Left outside a small charged gate. To open, 2 chargers have to be linked to the circuit, hence the need for a second somebody. The second device hasn't yet been found. Okay, that's obviously the green hand attachment, so maybe both Theodore and 1006 had a grab pack each. Before I spoke with the engineers regarding the green hand, design, intention, capabilities, any issues they might have, turns out the last bit would be important. Any issues they might have. Ooh.
This is why he convinced Theodore to take 2 green grab packs. Now, this is also very interesting because if this whole thing is 1006 as hinted to be, that means that 1006 can use the grab packs, which means he does probably have a rest of a body somewhere, it's not just an arm. But what's really interesting about this whole situation is that at the end of it, when Theodore gets electrocuted, presumably by the green grab pack hand, this influencer, again, probably...
Right, because yet Theodore was electrocuted. He literally just said in the thing... any issues they might have, turns out that last bit is important. Theodore may have been electrocuted by the green grab pack hand, and that's how he got damaged. He was literally with 1006 when it happened. So 1006 probably felt partially responsible. What a nice guy.
1006 actually returned him to the staff.
Yeah.
Went out of its way to return Theodore, blowing its own cover. Now, why would it do this? Well, again, if this is 1006, this influencer, it makes total sense. We know that 1006 is called the Saviour, and Mob do seem to be hinting that 1006 really did care about these orphans. Again, potentially more evidence that this is Elliot Ludwig. But either way, I just find it fascinating that
Edward
1006
Edward Ludwig. Elliot Ludwig. I apologise.
was seemingly trying to
Sorry,
escape
Elliot.
this factory, but turned back at this last moment to do the right thing. Again, says a lot about his character. Now, this is something that is also brought up in the cross-department report, which is a couple of years later. Now, here...
Okay, sorry. I know this is a lot. I know this video has already gone for like half an hour, but there's a lot to cover here. So, Dr. Harley Sawyer, on behalf of research, it has been 3 months since 1188's procedure. Who was 1188? Sorry, let me just... meant 1188. Who was 1188? Do we know? Okay, catnap is 1188. So it's been 3 months since catnap's procedure and 1 month since his introduction to play care. I'm pleased to say he's taken to his task like a fish to water, meeting virtually every one of the objectives we set out for him. The initial procedure had its challenges, taking 4 hours longer than we had hoped, followed by a rather tumultuous adjustment period. Still, his mental test metrics were virtually unchanged from pre-op. Now that he's on the job, as it were, we can say for certain that the outcome has been a resounding success, rivaling that of even 1170. Let me just... 1170? Was that Huggy? Yeah. And that was by Dr. Harley Sawyer, who was the doctor. Stella Graber, who works in Playcare. When the children first saw this bigger body's catnap, half of them were terrified. More than one burst into tears. I can't say I didn't expect this. The other department heads will know I was never a fan of using 1188 in Playcare for exactly this reason. The good news is that in the time since, many of the children have warmed to him. Some of them even consider him a friend now. He's gentle, even a bit shy, and I think the kids find that endearing. The ones still wary of him at least now accept his presence without fuss. I still have reservations about how he is used, but I admit his overall impact on Playcare operations has been a positive one. See, where Harley Sawyer's like, let's do all this stuff, let's get it done, it's fantastic. Stella also seems to care how the children may feel about things. She wasn't, she says she was never a fan of using catnap in Playcare for the reason of scaring the kids. Laith Pierre's input on behalf of innovation. Catnap has calmed down a lot in recent weeks. Also, I'm saying catnap instead of 1188, so we all know who we're talking about. Catnap has calmed down a lot in recent weeks. There were issues regarding erratic behaviour after the experiment, but those seem to have all been ironed out, and catnap has been integrated into Playcare without much issue. That's not to say I don't still have concerns. The relationship between 1188 and 1006 could pose a problem, at least somewhere down the line. Anytime the two are in a room together, Catnap follows 1006 around like a lost puppy. It's an odd sight, and what's more is 1006 doesn't seem to mind, or if he does, he's not showing it. If I remember correctly, Lockhart had some theories on the matter back in '89, but I'm not convinced of anything either way. What I know is this: Catnap may be docile now, but he's also highly impressionable, especially to anything the prototype says or does. I worry how quickly his behaviour could change depending on the whims of that temperamental thing. So, what did Tericho say? This was a month later?
This is something that is also brought up in the cross-department report, which is a couple of years later.
Okay, so this is a couple of years later. So it's been 3 months since Catnap was created and 1 month since the introduction to Playcare. That strikes me as a bit odd since it's been a couple of years since Theodore's accident. Maybe they did recover him, but he was never quite the same. Maybe he did die and the staff just kept him like on ice almost for so long. Maybe submerged in the poppy mixture that they tried to submerge the rats in. But at the very least, it's clear Catnap and 1006 seem to have a relationship, which makes sense if Theodore is Catnap and Theodore was helping 1006. What I don't understand with this is they put 1006 and Catnap in a room together. I'm not sure if this is before 1006. This is obviously before he lashed out and, you know, got the toys to rebel and kill everybody. But, you know, let's look at how 1006 looks, at least his hand. It's not something I think you would encourage to hang out with children. Like, Catnap's scary, but a mangle of like wires and tubes and metal. Personally, I wouldn't put kids around that. But yeah, it does seem like Catnap has taken the more submissive role. And it really seems like he's literally just doing as he's told. They say he's docile now. But again, that could have literally just been 1006 being like, play nice until the hour of joy, and then we get out of here.
Now here we get 3 excerpts. We get one from Harley Sawyer, one from Stella Graber, and one from Leif Pierre. And these are all basically a report on what is now pretty much confirmed to be Theodore being transformed into Catnap.
I assume so.
All of this is talking about 1188's procedure and his introduction to the Playcare. This is the idea that they are turning him into a bigger body and then making him work in the Playcare. This is the whole point of the Bigger Bodies initiative, and it's very clear here what Catnap's job is. Now, there are a lot of things to unpack in this one. The idea that Harley Sawyer says he's a resounding success, rivaling that of even 1170, pretty much confirming that Huggy Wuggy was a security measure, as many people have already theorized. But also we can see that Stella Graber doesn't seem to be a big fan of this. Now, there are 2 ways you can interpret this. One, Stella Graber really does care about these children and doesn't want this to be happening, and she has reservations. Or 2, this is all part of her ploy, part of her cover. Again, I've said there is a good chance that Stella Graber isn't as kind and benevolent as she first appears, but that's just a theory. You can note at the end she says she has reservations, but at the same time she thinks it's a positive impact, so she's not exactly fully against the idea.
She's not fully against the idea, I agree, but it seems like she likes where the idea could go, but she might not necessarily like where it is going. So she likes how the bigger bodies have been able to interact with the kids and look after them, but she might not necessarily like how they've been going about it. Potentially she doesn't like that they have been taking kids to do it, but maybe she sees it as a necessary evil, like, you know, sacrifice the few to save the many.
But finally we have Leif Pierre, the most paranoid one, or perhaps the most sensible one if you think about it, but he talks about the idea that 1188 has calmed down. There was problems with erratic behavior after the experiment, but they've been ironed out, which is something very, very interesting. And also the idea that 1188 follows 1006 around like a lost puppy. Now, if 1188 is Theodore, which is the most popular theory at the moment, this would make total sense. 1006 convinced Theodore to work with him when he was a boy.
They were friends.
And now he's convinced him as a toy. But it also leads into the idea of this whole cult aesthetic, the whole 1006 has saved us mentality that we've seen from the beginning. It definitely seems like a lot of these toys come to almost worship him, and well, again, there's so many things that we could talk about that in another video. I do like that Leith Pierre ends his statement by saying that Catnap may be docile now, but he's also highly impressionable, especially to
Young
anything the
kids
prototype
normally
says
are.
or does. Interesting there, anything the prototype says, which massively hints that the prototype can talk, which I find very cool because we haven't actually heard anything of the prototype yet. Potentially in Project Playtime, but we don't know if that definitely
Yeah.
is the prototype talking. And then also the idea that the prototype is being built up to be much more capable. We've only seen him as an arm, and we only see him as an arm in this drawing as well, but it seems like the prototype does have a full body, can get around, can use a grab pack, and can even speak. So I think we've only just seen a snippet of the full beast, if you will. But yeah, there are so many things that you could unpack and theorize over with these. These are just my first impressions. And like I say, I do really hope that we get some updates to these CCTVs. I really don't think this is where Mob are going to leave it. I don't think they would just show these 3 CCTV
I hope
images
not.
with not all that much to find. I think we are going to see probably a little bit more before Chapter 3 releases, which again seems like it's very soon. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy the vid. If you did, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of it. Leave the video a like if you liked it, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.
So again, guys, this was Tericho's video. I'm going to take you guys to his channel now because, like, this is his channel. Please go and follow him. He, as I said, he is an amazing theorist. He's done stuff on Little Nightmares, which I'm really hoping he covers Little Nightmares 3, which he said he has. It's one of his favourite games. But as far as the Poppy Playtime stuff goes, like, he has heaps of stuff on it. As far as the stuff that's been released, I may go and do a separate video where I come up with my own theories on each thing. This video has been going for 14 minutes already, and I apologize for that, but it is a big reaction video. There was a lot to cover. Again, please go and check out Tericho's video, especially on this one, especially on the other ones he's done. He has actually been such a huge inspiration for me to do my own theory videos, and he comes up with just amazing ideas. So go and check him out. I really hope you liked this video. I'm sorry it is such a long one. I know sometimes long videos like this can be a bit difficult to sit through the whole thing. But I had a lot of fun doing it. It was really interesting seeing everything that's kind of been going on there. But yeah, I hope you guys have really liked it. And I hope you guys go and check out his channel. Please go and check out his channel. He does amazing stuff. Anyway, so that's it for that one. As I said, I might cover some other theory videos. I might not. You'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I really hope you guys liked this video. I really hope you like the theories, and hopefully we will have some more news on the release date of Chapter 3 very soon. So thanks guys for watching, and I will see you all next time.